during the trial, please. Thank you.
So are we good, or?
Yeah, let's roll with it.
Yes, sir. We should be good.
Okay. The case from Lilith is that there's a lot of different things with this. There is poor judgment calls from Craig, improper medical procedures while intoxicated. Sorry.
Now
Okay.
People gotta stop that shit.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my documents in order here. Shooting of a fellow officer, defamation of character, harassment of employees, unprofessionalism, favoritism of new employees. The list goes on. I got about 4 pages of incidents here. That should have already been handed out to the board.
Yes.
Do you want me to go ahead and read each and every single one of them?
I believe. I mean, you can present the case how you want to present the case.
Well, I mean, the proper documentation has already been sent over to you folks, for as I understand it. I mean, as far as I understand, you guys were going to go through the documentations that Dr. Lilith had sent in. You were going to give Craig a chance to defend his side. I'm just trying to figure out why we got so many people here, really.
I believe they're here to defend the points that Craig means is untrue.
Oh, okay. Well, let's get a shit show on the road.
Well, Craig, if you want to start defending the points that you believe needs to be defended.
Okay. What are we starting with there, Lawyer Ray?
Let's go with poor judgment calls.
Okay, expand on that for me.
Actively defending Mr. Carter when he had 4 aggravated assault charges, 4 attempted vehicle manslaughters.
That's all?
Well, I was going to give you a chance to defend that.
Oh, no, I'm down to defend. I was just making sure you were done reading it off. I didn't want to cut you off. That would be,
Well, there's quite a bit there. So
we're going to start with that?
Everything?
We're going to start with that?
Yeah, let's
all right, toss that over my way. Go. So he said, poor judgment calls because I actively defended a person who had committed ×4 manslaughter. The reason behind defending this gentleman, and I'll be straight with you, horrible example of a gentleman to defend, we found out later, but at this time, I defended him because Dr. Lilith did not uncover the entire story on him. She has ×4 aggravated assault manslaughter, when the truth came out to be from the reporting officer on scene and Mr. Magnate himself that they attempted to shoot at him, to which he exited the vehicle and then proceeded to beat all of them up with his hands while they were attempting to shoot him. Both the reporting officer documented this, and the individuals that got their butts beat also admitted to this later on. I can understand why you'd want to lie on scene, because 4 armed men did get their butts handed to him by an, at the time, unarmed individual. What we found out after this was that he remained on scene until the cops arrived. He disarmed himself and waited around to explain his case to the responding officer. So I defended him because, no, it is not perfect that he beat up people, but these people were trying to kill him. So, split-second decision?
So,
in this,
go ahead, Dr. Lilith.
The point I was trying to make in this situation is that he overextended his means of needing to act in this situation. He ran over people in which he could have removed himself and approached the police in this situation without having to step out of his vehicle and continually hit each individual until they were down. You defended him, that was fine. But the problem is that once Carter was off suspension for that while we reviewed the case, he committed government grand larceny of a police vehicle. And when brought that topic up to you, you defended him still. And then finally, after another incident with Mr. Magnate, with him running over an officer with his motorbike, and him being involved with another crime scene, it was determined at that point that he was unfit for the job and removed per your judgment call.
This sounds to be correct. I will admit my memory is a little fuzzy. This was probably around, the 14th or so? So the grand larceny on the vehicle, I am hazy on. We did find out that later on he was a bit of a scumbag, and I removed him post-haste. But this was based upon finding nothing that would potentially... he couldn't defend himself with anything else. He was just being a quote-unquote dickbag. So he was removed. But for the first offense, I found overwhelming evidence that, yes, he did overextend his bounds, and we punished him, but I was not ready to terminate him at this time for a split-second decision that would have saved his life. Now, understand he ran over a single individual, and this was a nudge with the top right headlight portion of his vehicle, because that person, A, peed on the headlight, and B, pulled out his gun and attempted to shoot at Mr. Magnate.
And is that why on the medical reports, I treated the individuals on the scene with whom were struck by the vehicle, that the medical report said otherwise?
I'm sorry that your
well
information became inaccurate by the people that were taken down by his fists. As I said earlier, I would be embarrassed if I was taken down as an armed individual by an unarmed individual, and they should have probably accurately reported their medical injuries to you at that time.
Can I say something on this case?
I'll allow it.
These particular individuals that we're trying to say are honorable, indeed did put out a hit on 4 law enforcement officers due to this incident we're referencing. Just want to put that out there.
Okay.
Am I failing to see the relevancy in that statement?
There really is no relevancy in that statement for this issue.
Clarification purposes.
They are not the most trustworthy individuals. So their stories changing is a bit relevant, in my opinion. Apologies. Go ahead.
Does physical medical injuries and treatment not prove as relevant enough information and testimony to what actually happened on that scene?
Bruises are bruises, ma'am. If they sustain the bruises through combat, or if they sustain the bruises through cars, I mean, you go with what you can on scene. I'm not faulting you one bit. You go on scene, you go, okay, what happened? They tell you one thing, and you treat them based upon that. That's how we do things here. I'm sorry you were misled.
I mean, yes, ma'am. I'm not doubting your medical capabilities nor the treatment you provided on scene.
Can I ask what the date of this event was?
You were... Ooh, yeah, that would be hard to tell you since our entire database was wiped due to the hacker attack.
Lovely.
So with that situation in hand, can I ask why you thought it would not be relevant decision-making in your choice to continue to defend Mr. Magnate to remain on staff as an EMS employee of the state after he even committed government grand larceny by stealing a police vehicle?
I'm afraid I don't remember this
Why was he not
charge.
fired there on scene?
And it could have been because I was hazy on detail. I was told that someone was looking into something of the sort, but I was never actually briefed upon it. When I'm not told about things, I can't really do much about them, ma'am. I apologize.
I actually, again, our database was wiped, so I can't give you official records on this, but again, was on scene for that as well with Sergeant Grady and Lieutenant Guzlin. Mr. Magnate accidentally stepped into the officer's vehicle. I'm really not sure how you accidentally
I think
stepped
I
into the
remember
vehicle,
that.
but that is what he. Yes, sir.
They
I
were both
believe,
working with similar model cars.
Yep, Dr. Charles was there as well.
Ah, okay. So I believe he stepped into this vehicle, pulled it forward a few yards, and then went, oh, quote unquote, oh shit, and stepped out and apologized.
Indeed, you are correct.
Okay.
However, the sergeant took great exception to this.
Okay. So it doesn't sound like this was a big deal to begin with. It sounded like a mistake.
Considering, okay, whatever. I'd say considering I thought he was charged with that, and that was part of the discussion you and I had on the whole thing, that would have been relevant, but
This
sure.
was so long ago,
Right.
my memory might just be hazy, ma'am. I do apologize. Mr. Ray, if you would like to continue.
Yes, if we want to move down to the next part, endangering a patient's life, we have 2 recorded eyewitness statements that have spoken about how Craig operated on a patient while severely under the influence of alcohol.
Okay. So if we're talking about defending myself, I'd like to call Vlad up here briefly. Vlad was actually the star patient of the night, and he received, I believe it was an automobile hit, and showed signs of internal bleeding. At the time, most of EMS was looking to just enjoy the night, be off duty, do their thing. So we all never had intentions of working. We were doing things we would do when we didn't intend to work. At the time, I felt the situation was forced, to which someone said, well, somebody better do something. And when no one stepped up to the plate and I saw a dying man in front of me, I did what I could. I do have Vlad here to vouch for me that while I was intoxicated, everything was done per the book and properly, save a few incidents where I did need to void my stomach contents into a sink far away from the surgical area. It is with firm belief that Vlad would not be here today if I did not intervene at the time, and Vlad would like to speak on this subject himself.
Okay.
I would literally be dead right now if it wasn't for Craig right now, because since no one other EMS was willing to help get off their lazy ass, Craig had to do it by himself, even if he was in a drunken state. He still saved me without any really bad repercussions coming from it.
Our defense is the
Well,
means justified the ends, and I will elaborate. Mattia at the time did help out. She was not intoxicated, and she received an ambulance, or retrieved rather an ambulance, so that we could get a safe transport to the hospital.
Well, regardless or not that you did save the man's life, that was still malpractice. If something would have happened to him while he was under your care, you could have been under a malpractice suit from his family versus what's happening now.
Okay, so under malpractice, we would look at things such as duty to act, the breach of said duty, physical harm done, and all this good stuff. We had a duty to act on Mr. Vlad. He was actively dying in front of a crowd of people that weren't doing much for him. The breach of duty, the closest we can get to breach of duty is I was off duty at the time and I was intoxicated. Other than that, there were no actual harm or damages done to the patient himself. In fact, we did the opposite. We got him back on his feet.
Sir, can I ask the rank of Mattia? Is she fully able to recognize and be knowledgeable about surgical procedures and stop you if you in your drunken state were to make a mistake? Or perhaps we should question your judgment call and why you did not send him to a local right across the street from where our hospital
Ma'am,
is, where
you're
there are
cutting out,
doctors
please.
on staff.
Could you repeat yourself? You're cutting out a little.
Yeah, what did you not hear? Where did you
Towards the end, I was just voice box start going, but you know.
Okay, sorry. Well, I was asking, would she be able to recognize surgical procedures and if you were making any mistakes to cease that? She is currently ranked as an EMT. She is not trained to be a doctor. I also asked why you made the decision to not take him across the street from our hospital to the local doctors where they are most definitely not drunk and not prone to making mistakes, where they could have treated this patient thoroughly, instead of putting yourself, the hospital, and the rest of the staff, as well as the accreditation of the hospital being a medical facility, to treat patients like this at risk.
At that hour of night, I believed our surgeons would be on call, and this man needed immediate intervention. So we could call a guy, wait 45 minutes, and pray Vlad made it. Or we could make a risky call, a risk-benefit analysis, and say I'm risking surgery in a inopportune state to potentially save an individual's life. And he stands here today to say that my risk-benefit analysis was correct.
Are you saying that him having treatment at our hospital, that it wouldn't have taken 45 minutes to run him across the street to the trauma center there, where doctors are on staff, and able to complete that procedure without being under the influence of alcohol, threatening the patient's life?
I feel that the patient's endangerment called for the action I took. I will state no further on that.
Does the council have
Okay.
any questions regarding that?
Oh,
No, I
I don't
think
have
we
any.
do.
Ray, if you'd like to continue, if no one has any further statement.
Okay, so the next one on there. During a boating accident, a patient had approached you complaining about her handling being injured. You brush it off, saying that she would be fine, to pretty much just walk it off. After a day or two, she ended up going to Lilith's apartment to clean, where she mentioned the injury and the lack of movement in the pinky finger. From there, Dr. Lilith had took her into the hospital to treat it, only find it was a dislocated and severely bruised, battered pinky finger.
Gotcha. And who is this individual?
That's Miss Frida right here on my left.
Okay, would Frida like to talk about it?
Oh, yes, Frida can explain if
Okay.
you'd like her to.
Please.
Yes, Frida does not remember date, but she does remember it was a very important day with Mr. Muldoon and his retirement.
Okay.
We were all down by the beach, and I believe Mr. Jackson got out his boat, and everybody got out their personal equipment and vehicles in the water. Me, Mr. Felix, Mrs. Lilith, and Jackson, who was driving boat, we got into a pretty bad boat accident, and I was lucky enough to get saved by you, Mr. Craig. Yeah, you and the other EMS got me, Lilith, Jackson, and Felix on the shore, which I'm very grateful for. But I did definitely complain about the pain in my hand, and I specifically mentioned it to you, and sadly, as mentioned by Mr. Ray, you said that you would take a look at it, but it would be fine, and that was about it. And then, as he said, you said it looked fine and it should be fine. I went to hospital later, and it had turned very blue, and I believe that, as Mrs. Lilith told me, if it wouldn't have gotten treatment before that, it might as well have been permanently damaged.
Okay. Well, first, I'd like to start by apologizing to you, Frida. I was under a great deal of stress. I don't know if you picked up on that. I was only one of, I'd say, two members of EMS on duty at most, and we were getting a lot of beach calls. So I started with you, and then I got one to two more on the yacht just off the coast. So I came to you first because you were the first one there. I got you up, and you complained about your hand. Now, I briefly looked at the hand, and I go, okay, so I have people dead or dying, or I have a hand problem. So I figured I'd look over it quickly, and if I didn't see anything that popped out at me and was too crazy, I would either patch it up or say, I think you'll be okay, or something like that. And at the time, I felt that from my medical examination of you, you were going to be okay at this time. So I was a little stressed, maybe I could have looked better at that hand, but I saw people that were potentially drowning or dying out at sea, and being pressed for time, I wanted to get to them as well. So you do have my full
Yes,
apology that I overlooked a potentially dislocated thumb, or it was a thumb, correct?
Oh, pinky, but again, I feel bad, but I definitely understand your point of view.
Okay.
Just have to explain this because it's important. But yes, please don't feel bad.
Okay, and you do have my full apologies.
Okay, any other questions for this part?
Can I get a glass of water real quick, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'll be brief. I think there's a fountain.
Frida, at the point when you were contacted by Craig and you informed him of your hand injury, was there anybody else in the water that was involved with our incident?
Wait a minute, why are we proceeding without the both parties present?
Yeah.
Oh yes, let's wait.
I don't think
he
that's
just
fair
went out
trial
for a
there.
second.
Did he actually leave?
Yeah, he
I
went
think
through
we
it.
just established that this is not fair trial, so please wait for Craig.
I asked a question.
Sorry,
I didn't
just-
realize
And
that
we're
was...
waiting for Craig.
Okay, sorry.
We just established. Here he is. Okay.
Jesus, I disappeared for water 3 seconds. What the hell did I miss?
They were proceeding without you, and I guess we're good to go.
Okay, I'm sorry. Ray, if you'd like to continue down our list.
I think Lilith had a question for Frida first.
Yeah. I was asking if at the point when you spoke to Craig about your hand, if there was anybody else in the water or not from the incident.
Frida remembers seeing Lilith, Jackson, and Felix, which was all in the boat. I don't know if there was anybody else in the water that got hurt. There was a lot of people, but I knew everybody in that specific incident were on the shore, yes.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to the next point. Upon Odie and Avery's shooting injury on 7/13/2017, Dr. Lilith witnessed Craig putting the stem cells in the oven from which he kept in his house and then injecting them into Odie's arm. He had also touched Odie's butt and kicked him in the upper leg groin region, asking if he can feel that as part of an inspection of Odie and his wounds, and which was more than 10 gunshots. From what my notes say, he advised going to the hospital to have their wounds looked at. When told that they were treated by a non-EMT medic as best as they could, given no professionals were awake, with various herbal remedies and whatnot. Lilith advised that they should have it looked at the hospital to ensure everything was done properly, to ensure that it would heal properly and there's no further complications. They said that they'd like to after she explained it, as something may have been done. Upon completion of Odie's exam, as she took care of Avery's, Craig was seen rushing Odie around in a wheelchair, running fast, going wee, and trying to have a wheelchair race with a man who was shot over 10 times.
Okay. Does that conclude the that particular one?
Yes.
Perfect. Odie, if you don't mind coming up here real quick, please. Okay, Mr. Crosa, so you consented to an experimental trial of stem cells I had?
Yes, sir. I did.
And I think it was plain text that at any point in that time you could have said, no, I don't want this anymore?
You did make that abundantly clear, and you also told me that it may not do a damn thing for me.
Said it was worth a try, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I believe most of your gunshot injuries were to the arms, correct?
That is correct. Mainly my left arm.
Would you
In fact,
please present your arms to everybody? I think that'll be okay. Welcome to the gun show. Anywho, you can put your arms down. You can relax. He consented to this experimental treatment, trusting me as his doctor for years, and it looks like it has worked. Now, he was offered the opportunity to go see medical treatment at the hospital. And my memory's a little fuzzy. Like I said, these were ages ago. He either accepted and went or didn't.
I think we did after you finished your treatment there.
Okay, so just for insurance, he said, well, might as well get checked anywho. Did I kick you? Did I touch your butt?
Sorry, run that by me one more time.
I know, it's weird. Did I touch your butt, Odie?
Maybe. I don't, honestly, I don't particularly.
Did I kick you? I think I did kick you to ask if you felt that.
You did.
It was meant as a nudge to the leg.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
Right. Yeah, no, I got you.
Are you personally feeling comfortable that I did either of those?
You know, being it's a trial, I'll be to the point. No, I did not.
Okay. Dr. Lilith was present, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
She was standing, what, 4 feet away, I guess.
To your right, you were sitting on the bed, I believe.
That's correct.
And I did wheel you around in the wheelchair I had.
Yes.
Okay. Did at any point did she interject and say like, well, we need to be doing this instead? This is horrible. Anything like that?
I mean, I thought we were all laughing about it.
I do recall her just kind of sitting back and laughing about it. So one might ask, if at the time it was all fun and games, when did it become really serious?
Probably at the point when the discussion really began about it, practically just kind of hanging there like a limp little chicken tendy, and that if the stem cells did not work, that I would effectively end up with an amputated left arm due to its non-functioning capabilities, which in turn would lead to the end of my career, a 12-and-a-half-year career as a law enforcement officer, and the ability not to carry that young lady to my left around anymore.
Okay. So at this time, do you feel that any malpractice or anything has occurred at this point that would endanger your life that you did not consent to?
No, sir.
And do you?
No, sir, I do not.
I will be blunt. Do you feel that Dr. Lilith cared about this at the time?
Like the malpractice?
Do you think she cared about my treatments at the time enough to interrupt, interject, or make some kind of intervention to this?
Well, no. I mean, I think everyone was there acting as a team. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's who checked us out at the hospital was Dr. Riddle.
Okay, Bubba, you can head on back.
Okay.
May I make a statement on the scenario?
Of course.
Yep.
All right. For clarification, since your memory seems to be very hazy as of late, you had these stem cells in your apartment and you used an oven to warm them up for the procedure you performed, correct?
Yes. They needed to be at least, I believe it was 10 degrees over room temperature. So it was a brief visit, but it did go in there.
And at any point, did you care to ensure that instead of having anything go potentially wrong in the oven, allowing yourself the proper tools and equipment to ensure that the procedure was done to the best of your ability to ensure the full success, or to not have any hindrance or room for error, did the thought ever deem in your head to make a trip to the hospital to do this procedure where you would not be risking or endangering any patient's life with any complications due to not having proper tools?
That's reasonable. I felt that my patient was comfortable and consenting in the comfort of my own home, on my own bed no less, and if he was comfortable there, I was not willing to, just not willing to move him if he was in a place of comfort. And it looked like we had the supplies to do it.
in all fairness, the whole reason we were in the apartment was because the individuals that had attempted to kill us escaped custody and were still actively pursuing us.
Oh, that's right. So we were hiding out.
Yeah.
So-
Now, when we went to the hospital, we did go to the hospital, without a doubt, but when we went, there were law enforcement personnel on duty. At the time the treatment in the apartment took place, there were no law enforcement on duty. So we kind of would have been sitting there with our ass in the breeze.
We did not have any law enforcement escort us there or meet at the hospital, so I don't really understand
No,
how that
ma'am.
impacted.
I guess we just got lucky.
They were actually on duty at the time, so they could have made a response. If no one's on duty, there's no one to make a response.
Oh, okay.
I don't particularly trust our
And-
local police department. They're not the brightest bunch of folks.
And for the timeline record, again, since your memory is hazy, the wooing and wooing you guys were doing in the parking lot was after they had been treated at the hospital while their lives were still in threat. They deemed it apparently not enough of a threat to be running around the parking lot out in the open with a patient in a wheelchair. I did, for the record, speak up and say that this is something that should not be done. This was done, unlike Mr. Evans said, not in the apartment, but actually at the hospital.
Okay.
So, yes, I did speak up on that matter. Now, whether you heard it because you were wooing around the parking lot, running around like a maniac, I cannot attest to your hearing of that.
Oh, good. So
Report to the ship as soon as possible.
didn't have a problem
okay?
with the stem cells, just had a problem with the wooing in the parking lot with the wheelchair.
No, sir. I
Okay.
spoke up on the stem cells as well.
Okay. Understood. As for Odie's knowledge that law enforcement was now on and someone was able to make a response, he was completely alert and oriented to tell me, no, I don't want to roll around in the parking lot and have a good time in a wheelchair. And it's also, as I stated, maybe he was a little more comfortable being out in the open now that he knew they were on duty and able to respond in case something did happen.
I mean, I'll be blunt with you. After attempting to be murdered and knowing that that person's still out there trying to murder you, I kind of needed a damn laugh.
I just would have thought, having your life in a hideout, being in danger, all of that, they would have, since it was such a large concern beforehand, it would have remained such, regardless of if law enforcement were able to respond to a scene or not.
Knowing that our boys, not local boys, our boys, were on duty, we got each other's backs in our department. There ain't no question.
I'm not doubting
so
that,
my
sir.
mind, no, I know you're not. I'm just saying my mind was greatly put at ease knowing that two of our boys were on duty.
Okay.
But wouldn't
And
you
they were in
have,
the area.
if attacked, still been in an injured state and been able to quickly been taken out should your attackers have chosen to do that? Wouldn't you have put yourself in a much more dangerous and risky situation being out front in the open, given the known response time for our boys to respond to a scene versus if you were inside?
If I could briefly interject, Ray, could we argue that this is no longer relevant and we are just strictly going over what ifs?
The reason why I'm making this statement is they're claiming on one of my other points that the reason procedures weren't done at the hospital was due to threat of life. They were worried and concerned for their life, and yet this action discredits that. That's the point I'm trying to make with these questions.
Okay, I
Given
believe
the
you.
proximity of our
Thank
given
you.
the proximity of our officers that were on duty to the hospital, no, I don't feel that we were a threat.
Okay, if we
They
could.
could have been there within 30 seconds. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Ray, please go on to the next.
So the next one is an attempt to rescue 2 patients up on the mountain via SAR air rescue. Craig was heard flailing from a police vehicle. He drove off a cliff edge down into the path of the patients. 2 EMS in a helicopter, 1 LEO in a helicopter. Down the vehicle by patients.
Remix.
There is a video clip that the board should have on this incident.
Okay, if we could pull this clip up. Also the date of this incident, please. Hello? Oh, our
The
lawyer may have
incident, I
spilled off.
believe, was.
If we could wait for his return.
Well, let me know if I have work to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he is kind of there, but I don't want to make a mess in here. That would be rude to the establishment.
No, absolutely. We'll try and herd this monster outside if it is over.
Okay.
And it appears that clip has been removed.
What was the source of this
Looks
clip?
like someone deleted it.
Thought we had one.
Wait, he's still there?
Dr. Lilith?
Okay, he's still here. Perfect.
Oh yeah, he's still there.
That was really
Yes,
confusing.
I am still here.
Okay, you just looked like you
No,
were.
We thought we lost him.
We did.
Nope. I was trying to pull up the dash cam footage, which was from Craig's, and it appears that the clip had been deleted.
Okay. The date of this incident?
It was actually a couple of days ago.
Couple days, 1, 2, 3.
3 at the very most.
Okay. Memories, as you stated, Daisy. I recall a Mount Chiliad call. I was up in Polito at the time. I believe multiple people were down. And I recall actually scaling the mountain trail in my Crown Victoria.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Craig, could I bother you for just 30 seconds? Does anyone mind if I just get 30 seconds?
Can we get a 30-second recess?
No, I don't have a problem.
I apologize. Is that good with both sides?
I have no objection at this point.
Is there
just
relevance?
1
I
minute.
mean, are you his counsel?
No, well, that's why I'm asking, not telling. I'm asking if anyone minds. It sounds like people mind.
Is this relevant to the case?
Yes, it is, but it's not to be shared with everyone. It's relevant to the case. I'd like to speak with Craig for... it's already been a minute. Carry on!
You tried. Okay.
No, I have a question. Hold on.
Okay.
You said this was a video camera that you had, right? A body cam?
This
Dash
was
cam,
from
you
his
said.
own dash cam video.
And who gave you access to our PD dash cam? I've never seen any requests come across my desk, and as a detective, I believe I would be the one getting that paperwork.
As the sheriff, I would have had to see it as well. Never heard of it. This is the first.
Well, you have 2 eyewitnesses that were here in this exact instance right here.
Right, but I'm kind of worried about that other thing, because that's pretty fucked up.
Well, it sounds like you have an investigation to do then.
Damn right. 'Cause I haven't wasted enough. No, we've all wasted enough time. Let's carry on.
Okay. Assuming this was within that time that I'm recalling right now, I recall responding up to the Mount Chiliad Peak because people were down in Old Man's Crack for the 15th time. I think we had an air unit respond, and as I was scaling the mountain, that air unit said they were just going to have to call ALS because they couldn't get to them. I've seen a certain ground maneuver done. This is where my head gets hazy. I remember stationing myself at the top of the cliff. I went to tap my accelerator when I popped her in reverse. and it did a little more than a tap for me, you know how those Crown Vics do, and then everything went black. Woke up at City Hall a few hours later. So I really couldn't comment on this case.
All right. Well, my eyewitness testimony, nothing was said in dispatch of him trying to attempt a maneuver, no communication given. Just saw a car come flying down the top of the mountain directly in line of sight of an EMS chopper, LEO chopper, as well as a car already on the ground in the area with the patients. So why we would feel that we had the need to make a chaotic and very unneeded decision to get another vehicle down there when there was already a vehicle and a cop at the scene, after we had already determined that yes, ALS may be the best option, but we were going to keep trying until that was an absolute dire need, is beyond me.
So I'm just curious, you're saying he was a law enforcement officer at this time? And not working for the EMS at this point? Because wouldn't that fall under Sheriff Roth's jurisdiction at that point? He would be the person to take care of any kind of correction of the incident?
Yeah, it was never brought to me.
Still,
Is this even EMS
call on his
related?
decision making. Considering 2 of your staff members were involved, this was a judgment call on endangering a patient's life, which is a priority for both LEO and EMS. I would figure that that would be something you would be able to make a proper call on, instead of endangering literally 6 people's lives.
Okay, ma'am. Roth, everything good?
I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
A little confused, but okay. I guess we can keep on chugging along there, lawyer.
Okay, let's go down to the next part. Endangerment of employees while on duty. Been responsible for 2 injuries of downed employees due to negligent driving, including Dr. Lilith. Also got into a fist fight altercation with Miss Avery and Mr. Odie over the fact that Avery may have accidentally thrapped Mattia in the head. Craig had proceeded multiple times to punch Avery until she fell down, and then proceeded to get into a fist altercation with Odie because Craig punched Avery repeatedly, and then Odie also went down.
Okay. I guess we can start with the driving stuff. Dr. Lilith, if you had such a huge issue with this, can I get a date while I'm talking? With this issue, why wasn't it brought up sooner, is my question. I prefer to nip things in the bud as soon as they occur. I would rather us not sit on issues until they become usable in a situation such as this. So if I could get a date, I just want to know how long this has been since this even occurred. We'll address the second part of this in a moment.
I'm sorry, my head is kind of choppy. What?
Oh,
what did you
it's
say
all good.
there?
It's all good. I was just wondering date of this incident.
I believe it was when we had all of our, right when we got the program established, when we had all of our new trainees and hires at the time. We all trained them together, went over the SOPs. That would be roughly on the 12th of last month.
The 12th of June.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you set an issue down like this reckless driving and this endangerment that you abhor. You set this issue down for over a month, running on a month and a half's time, to bring it up now?
No, we talked about it at the time of the scene. It's merely an example of your poor judgment calls,
Okay.
which holds relevance.
Sure, I guess, if it was like, I don't know, within this month.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize that there were a set time frame in which poor judgment calls used as an example made that example any less valid.
It's okay, I understand. I would be upset in this situation, but I was probably under the impression that we already nipped it in the butt, and your complaints and issues were noted, and we could hopefully move on from it by now. I don't mean to sound bothered, I'm just...
Regardless, there is no time frame which this stuff can be used.
Okay. There's no statute of limitations or anything like that.
Not according to Los Santos time code.
All good, lawyer.
We'll get to that.
Okay. So my reckless driving could use a better apology, a revised apology, to where I will try harder to never undertake such reckless driving again. It seems everyone involved in the incident is fine. You were involved and you're fine enough to bring us to court today. So I do apologize if we're good to move on to the second part of this.
Sure.
Okay,
All I
the
want to say
second.
is double jeopardy.
Nice. So, Odie and Avery, you were involved in this. If you'd both like to step forward.
What, the fire truck thing?
The fire truck thing?
No.
No.
The punching.
This was when we,
okay, we
yeah.
moved on from the fire truck thing, okay.
I don't even remember a fire... Oh, it was a fire truck. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Avery, please
Yeah.
step forth as well if you'd like to take the other side of me. And, so, since we have both met, we have undertaken in frequent wrestling. Is this correct?
Well, correct.
Okay.
I mean,
Yes.
you know, we had our boxing matches there in Erie County, but yeah, I kind of like the wrestling a little bit better.
True. The goals of this were to boost bond and morale between the three of us and anyone else that may have engaged in this. Would you say now, being accounted for, we could argue dates again, but it doesn't seem necessary. Would you say now that our bond is stronger and we are able to cooperate on a better level since this wrestling had began?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Things can get a little tense. I mean, it's still being able to go down to the park and get a little wrestling in. Yeah, it helps.
Okay. So no harm done, no hard feelings on any of that?
No, not at all.
Well, no, I mean,
I
just
love you guys.
I'd say we're super
2 weeks
close.
ago we went on a double date.
We
I
did
would
go
say
on a
we're
double
pretty-
date. We did fun stuff, but that is currently irrelevant to the court.
Okay,
Yeah,
then
all
at this
right,
point, it sounds like it's going to be a
I'll-
conflict of interest, considering you guys are going on double dates.
I would
If
say
that's
it's
how everything's going to turn out.
I would say it's
Most
a
of the stuff
conflict
that's
of
been said
interest.
today has
Okay,
been
sir.
a conflict of interest.
Okay, I would say this would be a conflict of interest if she didn't list these people as the individuals that were harmed or anything like that. If they weren't directly
they're your
involved.
I can understand that, Craig. However, they're your friends. They're going to give their side to try and make you look better.
Okay,
That's why friends are
understandable.
never used in court cases, because they do give that altered statement, because they know you personally. They know you outside of work.
I can see how that might be reasonable.
But if
Go on, Vlad.
But
You're trying to
really,
say
if-
something. Take turns. We're civilized.
if I may point something out, is that just because they know each other doesn't mean anything. If they were a part of the thing, they could have reported it at the time and say, "Hey, Craig fucking beat me up." But no, they didn't, because just because they're friends doesn't mean that anything bad happened. If it was someone else, they could have reported it. But no, nothing happened to it. It shouldn't be fucking brought up like this.
Okay, watch your language in the courtroom.
Well, this
please.
whole
Be
case shouldn't have
respectful.
brought up how it
Called
is.
in here as witnesses needs to stop talking on this talk too.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Okay, so the only
this
reason I
whole,
brought
this whole
them
case
forward...
is idiotic at this point, because our side
Sir?
wasn't told that we could have witnesses until originally at 7 p.m. tonight, when this case was originally supposed to happen. We were then told we could find people if we had time.
This is a trial, isn't it?
That's not the impression that was provided to Dr. Lilith and myself.
So what, it was just going to be a
This was
battering of
we were
me?
originally just told, no, we were told that we were going to present our evidence, you would defend yourself. Nothing about witnesses. This wasn't a trial. This was a board hearing. That was it. That's all we were told.
Okay.
A board hearing, not a trial.
So you would have appreciated more time to gather people to help you guys out?
Well, considering you had time to gather people to help you out, sir, yes, I would appreciate the time to be able to interview more witnesses, get a couple more witnesses to everything.
I was notified about, I don't know, don't even know how long it's been ago. About an hour before we were supposed to be here is when I was notified.
Yep, me too.
Again, you were notified at least an hour before. We didn't have any notification that we could even have witnesses until the original time of 7 p.m.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, we've already sat around for 3 hours, so what the hell? You want an hour to grab some people?
No, at this point, no, there's no point because no one's going to be awake in enough time.
Avery Odie, I think you can take your leave back to the little cubby hole.
The point of this whole thing, the point of what we're trying to discuss here and why it's brought up, I don't care that Odie and Avery pressed charges or they were cool with it or whatever. The point is you were in uniform when all of this happened. You are acting as a chief. What you do and how you present yourself affects the reflection on this city of our program and of your staff. You said, even in the SOP, when we went over and wrote all of it, that the whole point of having good conduct while on duty and even off duty, it's to
Ma'am,
be
if I'm the closest thing to a
professional.
bailiff, I'm gonna have to ask you to stop yelling in the courtroom.
I'm not yelling.
Yelling. You are. You are very yelling. Please stop.
To be honest, you're just as loud as her.
To be fair,
Or
Mr.
maybe
Cast,
even louder.
Yeah, maybe
you're
even
kind of
louder.
loud.
I'm having a bad day with that, but she's kind of screaming at us.
You're both a
No,
little on
not-
the loud
Not
side.
intentionally. I apologize.
I think
I'm
I
not
think you're
trying-
both unintentionally just a little loud, and we can keep moving.
All right, we call Fancies.
Okay. Are we allowed to move on?
As long as the council understands the point I was trying to make with that.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Am I still freakishly loud?
You're actually okay now.
That is.
All right,
Am
'cause, you know,
I
I
better?
do.
Try again. Give me something else.
How about now? Is this any better?
Oh, a little
li-
lower.
little bit. Maybe,
A little bit.
maybe just a hair lower, but otherwise.
Oh God! Freaking I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness, this is.
Okay, now
this is
everybody gets one.
uncalled for behavior.
Everybody gets one.
You have Spider-Man to thank for that one. Yeah, I don't know if I'm supposed to wait my turn or something, but after seeing all this, there are a couple of things I wouldn't mind saying, but I don't know if there's a queue.
If they will allow it, you know, I'm not gonna say no.
Is it on this particular point or something else entirely?
It's very relevant to everything, this entire case, and Craig and his position as chief of EMS.
Can we hold it till the end?
Oh yeah, yeah, that's fine. I just didn't know what we got going
I
on.
just don't want to get sidetracked.
We'll pop you in
I
the
think
queue there.
we all just want to try and get out of here as soon as we can. We all got places to be, people to be with.
Okay.
Amen.
Let's keep on chugging there, Ray.
Okay. Incidents of continually punching Bobby Charles in the face on multiple different occasions. There's no date stamps.
He did come
Not to
personally
mention shooting
speak
him in
to
the fucking
me.
vanilla unicorn.
That's later. That's later. He
Sheesh.
did come approach me personally and make note that he was upset about this whole thing happening.
Okay.
But I guess it falls under the same guidelines as the last point, except this time instead of it being friends, it was employees on staff.
Okay. Same deal, just with Bobby. Not necessarily a friend as much as a coworker. Right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Not perfect. So, this was meant as more of a slap. But there's no defense to level of injury because this was still committed. I felt that at the time Bobby was not agreeing with what I said, and I gave him a little smack. This is not excusable, and if Bobby were here tonight, I would apologize because I tried to refrain from doing so any further. But at the same time, I did hit Bobby that night. And maybe a night or two afterwards. And I would offer him a formal apology for doing so. While I don't think he consented to the whole wrestle bonding method, in the future I should definitely attempt to ascertain a further wrestling. consent for increased bond morale.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to the next section, improperly training employees. Lilith had been approached by higher saying they wished to do a ride along with her due to not knowing how to interact with patients properly. That should have been covered in the training that they would like to be taught.
All right. Who was the employee in question here?
I had been approached by multiple employees, Mr. Stephen there being part of that.
Okay.
He came to me asking to ride along, as he was not sure how to go about feeling confident in his work, that he knew how to do what he should have been trained to do through our training program.
Okay.
I have been on multiple ride-alongs with him, teaching him a bunch of things, and I hope that that had subsided that issue he had.
Okay. A lot of our training individuals or new individuals that underwent training, I do try and get them out on the road. I cannot make the emergencies happen, so I'll give it typically as long as I can that night to get out there on the road and respond to calls with them. We've had a few cases such as, what was her name? She, lady from, trying to think. A lady we had very briefly. And I believe she left. I do forget her name. But in her case, I only had enough time to run down the SOPs, and she had to jet. So there were cases where I didn't get the time for ride time, but I do try and squeeze it in for everybody. Always encourage the people that are with us for their first week to ride with somebody and gain that confidence in the event that they don't have it by the time I'm done with them. But I guess full disclosure, I wish I could have been with Steven some more.
Point I would like to be made, an incident where Chauncey, it kind of flows into the same bet. Chauncey is a new hire. I believe he was trained by Odie and cleared for running solo by Craig, correct?
Is this correct, Odie?
You gave him the go-ahead?
Odie, you there?
I trained him actually on the same day the other one came up as we were hiding in our apartment from the whole death.
Oh, that's right.
thing.
Chauncey was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have some work training him with law enforcement as well.
Okay. Would you like to depart from the first part and move on to the Chauncey, or would you like to join them together?
Yeah, so let's move on to the next part with Chauncey.
Okay. I was just going to offer Steven a chance to talk and express his opinion if he had one. If not, by all means.
I mean, that's up to Steven. I'm fine with moving on, I suppose.
Okay.
It's his
Steven,
choice.
if you are, mentally present.
I have nothing really to say.
By all means, we will move on immediately. So we're talking about Chauncey, who got trained by Odie and cleared for me. Okay.
Yes.
As I recall, Chauncey's SOPs were run through. Was that the one you ran through in the safety of your apartment, Odie?
Yes, sir. SOPs, protocols. Several hours he was in our apartment going through everything.
Okay, and you weren't in a position to take them on out because of the current state of the, people out to get you?
Correct.
Okay.
And then you arrived, and you and Dr. Riddle there were treating Avery and I.
Okay. At that time, were you finished with the training, or were you still going for it?
No. By the time you'd arrived, we had wrapped up probably 30 minutes prior, going through protocols and everything.
Okay. I don't remember Chauncey asking for any time to do it. He seemed comfortable enough with you. But I mean, if Odie trained him anyway that I typically taught him to train people, it would be encourage them to get with someone in that first week. So it wasn't out of incompetence that he would ask for time. It was more or less his first week was a time for learning and to gain that comfort. Circumstantial, unfortunately, but that's just how the cookie crumbled on that one, I'm afraid.
Wouldn't you say it would be generally good practice to ensure that our new trainees have the knowledge and know-how of at least having a couple of ride-alongs before being allowed to be on their own.
Understood. Could I answer that question with a question, ma'am?
Sure.
Do you have formal written training?
Considering this trial is about you, not myself, I have a medical degree.
Was that a... Okay, so...
I'm...
It's okay. It's fine, I'll take it. We don't have any set training thing. We have SOPs. Nowhere and anywhere does it say that past SOPs, they must be with someone for a certain amount of ride time, unless there has been a recent change. So there was no formal requirement for it, but like I said, we supplement that with a high recommendation to pair up with someone that has had EMS experience.
But you would expect someone you're sending out in the field to treat patients, since we're supposed to do no harm and value their lives, that the people we're sending out to do that would have basic medical know-how on how to treat something, let's say, as simple as hypoglycemia or a dehydration case, correct?
Was this something he responded to?
This was a case on myself.
You were hypoglycemic?
Yes, sir.
I didn't know you were diabetic.
May I say something?
What's up?
That was just a trial. That was like a test thing. That wasn't really an actual patient. That was for my SAR training.
Oh.
We're not talking about you, Stephen.
So this was not an actual emergency as much as it was a
No,
trial.
Chauncey's situation was an actual emergency. I collapsed, and he responded to the call and was struggling to treat me. The officer that was on scene, as Elio was supposed to show up on scene with EMS as of recent, due to certain events,
Okay.
he was instructing our EMS personnel on how to treat the patient and how to handle it.
Okay. So he was with someone that could do it or was not? I'm hearing he had a patient due to SAR training, so someone was training him with it?
Wait, no, this has nothing to do with SAR training. This has to do with Chauncey, not Stephen.
Okay, and if you were passed out, you have a really good recollection of all of this?
I was conscious at the time he arrived.
Okay. Understood. So in the future, I will make sure that maybe we have some form of mandatory ride time, either hours or incidences. Maybe we can cement that one down.
Would be a good thing to do in the future. I just would have thought you would have gone through basic steps in ensuring that if he wasn't able to have ride-along training, that before you okayed him to ride along solo, you would have ensured that he was able to handle himself solo.
Understood. Much like the trial that was
okay.
briefly mentioned, we try and give example patients, be that me or someone present, and we see how they will treat the patient, and based upon this example patient, we say, okay, I think you're good, okay, I think you could move on from this, or you could improve in this area. And then we do set them up with a recommendation that they do ride with someone of experience their first week. So we could definitely improve on that in the future. Maybe less example patients, more legitimate calls, maybe, in the training.
Yeah, it would have prevented him potentially killing the woman to my left here, based on his diagnosis and prescription.
Okay. I just don't recall being informed of this. That's why I'm kind of, like, lost. I would have loved to have I heard from Steven, yeah, I'm going to go ride with Lil for a bit. But, I'm not at all making light of this. I'm just saying I never figured him to be less than confident or incompetent, and in terms of Chauncey, about the same thing.
Oh, yeah, Chauncey hasn't exactly been around a whole lot since the last incident with Frida, so I haven't exactly gotten a chance to sit down and handle this issue, considering he hasn't woken up yet, but Frida, if you want to talk about the situation with Chauncey that could have been prevented had he been properly trained and not sent out on his own to answer calls.
Sure, Frida can explain the situation. You want Frida to?
Yeah.
Yes, please, darling.
Okay, yes, so Frida remembers she was going to do one of her stunts with one of her new friends named Leoric. She was going down a mountain and lost control of her bike, and he was officer, I think his name was Saxton, come and help Frida. He kept Frida stable, and then Chauncey came over with the ambulance. Chauncey came over, took care of Frida's back, which was hurting really bad, and
That's Odie.
practically Chauncey just handed Frida
He's like
three
that for a
pills.
reason.
He couldn't name the pills. He just told Frida to take them. Frida even questioned him why what they did, but he just said they helped. And I guess it was against my own stupid judgment, but I was hurting too bad to even think straight, so I just took them. He told me to take them every hour, and when standing here talking about it, I realized I was stupid, but I did it against I did it for his judgment, so yeah, he handed me 3 pills and told me to take one each hour. Exactly 2 hours later, I was at, sorry?
It's all good. I didn't want to interrupt you. I wanted to wait until you were fully finished there, Frida.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, no problem. Exactly, 2 hours later, Rick came in an accident like this one, down a mountain. He was picked up and taken to the hospital, but for some odd reason, Chauncey did surgery and x-ray and everything inside ambulance with Rick. So, I don't know how he did that, but he also, after he did a very, very big surgery inside of ambulance with Rick, right next to the hospital, he told Frida to sit at the rear of the ambulance, and he fixed Frida's open wound outside the hospital with just alcohol and stitches and bandages. Frida didn't really know what to say. She kind of let it happen, which again, Frida's stupid judgment call, but that is what happened.
Frida, I'm going to assume it was just heat of the moment. You were in a tight spot and you agreed. You just kind of nodded.
Frida, I think you're right.
Okay. Did these pills he gave you cause any harm to you?
That is the reason why Frida has not been in town for a week. She has been, I guess, under the house arrest, having to rest a lot. She realized after taking the pills on the same day that she got very woozy and, her stomach was having a terrible time. So she told Miss Lilith, and Miss Lilith gave Frida something to get it out of her system. And after that, Frida had a fever for the rest of the week. And I've been in the bed ever since, talking to Lilith, getting medication.
Okay. Frida, I would love to address this in a different setting because this is important, and I never would undermine that from you. But I don't see how this is the directly relevant to the issue of not being trained enough. It sounds like he did a lot.
You cleared him to run on his own. The people of this city trust our EMS and our staff to be competent and knowledgeable enough not to do something foolish to get them killed.
Then I'll ask the classic question, how long ago was this?
As she said, it was a couple of weeks, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago?
Thanks, John B, and thank you,
Oh,
CBW.
yes, exactly.
If I may, something relevant to Chauncey, I'll keep it as brief as possible, if I may.
Approved. Any rejection?
Sheriff Chief Justice had hired Chauncey as an officer. It was the shortest-lived employment I had honestly seen in the department. He was hired because he put on a good impression, and when you're talking to him, he's putting on a good impression. But when he's actually out there doing the job, I was watching him kind of have a hard time with some of the more basic things. So I could see, I could see Chauncey.
Report to the ship as soon as possible. Okay?
Clearing training, putting on a good impression, just kind of goofing up when he's out there on the spot. And I could see that because, well, I kind of have seen it on Elio's side.
Okay.
Could I interject there?
Yeah.
Sure.
Couldn't that have all been prevented if he wasn't just cleared on SOPs by Odie and then cleared by the chief of medicine without any actual ride-alongs to actually gauge his performance in the field? Couldn't that have been avoided?
I took him on a ride along myself, and he showed that he was capable of handling some of the more basic things. And we were hearing some really weird stuff about him as soon as he was away from staff. Command.
Alright.
Like really, really kind of weird. Yeah.
Oh, good. Any further comments on this on my end? It's another I wish I heard about any of this, or any of it was brought to my attention, or else we could drag him aside, apologies, and say, hey, this isn't right what you're doing. Maybe we need to have a little more one-on-one time. But this wasn't brought to my attention, and I therefore can't do anything about what I don't know.
I did have a conversation with you about Chauncey and whether or not he was cleared.
We didn't have a conversation that he did all of this stuff, though, but you seem knowledgeable of it.
Like I said, this was
Okay.
recent in the sense of him not being awake. Had he not fallen ill and taken, his current state.
Okay. I have nothing else on the matter. I've said what I need to say.
Okay, shall we continue?
I'd love to.
Not properly following uniform procedure, even though you guys don't have a proper uniform. Apparently, Craig is always changing his clothing to non-authorized uniforms while on duty. He also shows up on scene with said improper uniform on.
My issue was the first sentence.
I can be a witness to everyone doing that in EMS.
I think we've all been
Right
guilty
there.
of not showing up in the approved uniform there. We could talk about times where...
I've woken up and seen the good doctor right above me wearing the exact outfit she's wearing right now, many, many times.
But this is not about
Yes,
her.
but have I been clocked in on duty?
Showed up to my medical emergency, so I would think so.
Awkward.
Was I the one that was treating the patients?
We'll focus.
Or was I simply in the car riding along?
If we could refocus. This is about me.
The next 3 points essentially leading by example. If he's not going to be doing what the SOP is requested of us to do, then why should his staff have to follow lead? That pertains towards not following the uniform protocol, not being in dispatch while on duty,
Okay.
not enforcing other employees to be in dispatch while on duty, not following vehicular transport protocol. All of that kind of ties into lead by example.
Okay, I have several witnesses on my end when it comes to the radio that I have been compliant with radios.
As of currently, perhaps, but not in the beginning.
Much like when we tested the new radios out and I heard from multiple people that you have refused to use them. But once again, this is not about you.
I have not been on duty at all to require me to use that. Had I been on duty, I would have hopped in the new radio system, but I haven't been.
Understood, Dr. Lilith. What were some of the other ones?
Not properly following vehicular transport protocol, seen on multiple occasions in non-authorized vehicles showing up to scenes, and another seen on multiple occasions leaving helicopters out for civilians to take. They were just sitting unlocked and out in the open.
Okay, were any of these helicopters stolen?
They very well could have been had I not reached out to Elio and had them impounded.
Very happy you did. Good looking out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, help me out. What were some of the... We talked about transport. I've never transported a patient to or from the hospital in anything other than approved vehicles, which would be an ambulance or a helicopter.
Do you not drive around on a very frequent basis in police cars to medical scenes?
Well, that's a standard of PD now. We have to respond to those in a police car and also a thing. Or are you talking about
yes,
on EMS?
but before... I'm talking about transporting patients in police vehicles and being in a police vehicle before they were required to even be on scene.
Okay, I
No
don't believe...
van, no SUV.
In this time in which I was a member of EMS, if I was ever riding in a police vehicle, I think the only people I've ever rode with in a police vehicle were Odysseus and Avery, but we've talked about a quote-unquote conflict of interest here, so I'll go ahead and say it the best I can. We have never transported a patient in said police cars. Anyone that has come from a scene have likely had minor injuries, and any transports or construed transports were not transports to the hospital, but transports to the police department to be charged with a crime.
Okay. Are we set to move on?
I'm good if she is.
I believe Dr. Wolf is.
Okay.
Defamation of character, commenting on a medical procedure done on a patient, saying that the medical degree Dr. Lilith had was not good enough to qualify her to do a proper sponge bath. Craig refused to remove himself from the room when asked to for privacy, as the patient, one of his employees, was receiving a sponge bath after being severely burned. Stephen was the patient and witness to this conversation.
Stephen was the patient in question.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I remember that. Stephen, come on up. If present. If not, it's fine. Let's see. Sponge baths. I did not leave the room to give Stephen a sponge bath. He's my adopted son. And as far as I was concerned from him, he wouldn't have minded me being present. The only person whose dignity was at risk here was Stephen's, and he didn't seem to mind me being present for said sponge bath. If Stephen was here, I'm sure he would spin a similar tale.
Is he not here?
I don't think Stephen, we're talking about...
yes.
We were talking about me remaining present for a sponge bath.
Okay.
And you were the patient in question, if you recall, after some burn?
Yes.
Okay, did you have a problem with me, your adopted father, being present during said sponge bath?
No, I have no problem with my dad being there while I have a bath.
And you at the time wanted a sponge bath yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
On this, I'd like to make note that never have I heard that he was related to Dr. Evans here. As far as I was aware, I was attempting to give the patient privacy as it was his employee, and I felt there would be I was trying to avoid any form of awkwardness or issue to be had, given, well, it's a private matter having somebody be bathed, especially in the current state he was in with his injuries.
That's fair. I won't fault you for not
bring
knowing
it
that.
up. Yeah, you didn't bring it up at all, so there was no way for me to be aware that that was even a thing. Stephen didn't correct me or stop, nor did you correct me or stop me.
Okay.
Well, you argued with me about it, but...
Okay, so, Dr. Lilith, this is Stephen, my adopted son.
Yeah, I've gotten that.
Okay. Unfortunately, I've seen him naked several times.
I don't need to know that.
So I don't think he was gonna be worried about that. Maybe in the future, if we have a similar situation, I can remind you.
God damn.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to embarrass you, son, but, you know.
But the other point to this whole thing was you did have a slight argument with me on saying you needed to be in the room to observe the procedure to ensure that I was doing it properly. You did, when I made mention that my medical degree, that should have been enough to signify that I could handle this properly, you disagreed and questioned my my degree and my capability of doing that.
Not to imply that anything would happen, but there should always be a member of the same sex in a room, especially something like that.
But this is all hindsight and all this stuff.
I would like to bring it up to the council that I also told Dr. Evans that he could handle that himself, and yet in his best judgment said that this was something he was making me do, despite my my adamancy behind him performing the sponge bath.
No offense, I love my son very much, but I was not in a real rush to do it myself. And you were his current caring doctor. Hey, Sue.
Do we have anything else to add?
Not really. I think that's about it.
Okay, the next one kind of goes along with the sponge bath.
Okay,
except
Steve,
for
get back up here.
It is continually harassing Lilith and Steven. So now we know his adopted son or stepson.
Okay.
About having a sponge bath and trying to get him to request more sponge baths for laughs.
Okay,
in which there is a picture of a forwarded text message stating to request for more sponge baths.
Steven requested for more sponge baths in a text message?
No.
I don't remember showing a picture of that.
This would be a text message you forwarded from Craig
Okay.
to Bobby, and he then sent it to me.
Yeah, it was a joke. Everybody was laughing. It was.
I figured we were both
I mean, even
giggling.
everybody in the
It
hallways
could have
were
been
laughing.
a good old tongue-in-cheek joke. I would have known it was serious if you came to talk to me about it, but I figured even you brushed it off as a joke.
Given the whole initial first situation with me
This is
making
strange.
it clear that I was not wanting nor comfortable giving Steven a sponge bath, given the fact that everybody in the other room was joking about it and making fun at the fact that I was performing that medical procedure, cleaning him and his wounds in that matter, that it should have been be made very clear that that was not the case, that it was not funny.
Okay. No more jokes about sponge baths. Steven, you can go back.
Oh. We're able to move on?
I think so.
I am.
Okay, continually making comments on the attractiveness of his female coworkers, be it good or bad. There's also attempting to force employees to hug him despite vocally declining any advances.
Okay, I guess we'll curb the huggy thing now. I've hugged all of my employees, except 2 who refused. So one might assume when every single employee is okay with just a friendly hug from a coworker, then it wouldn't be a big deal to try out with 2 more. So if they felt that that was an unnecessary and inappropriate advance, I apologize.
The reason it's being brought up is when vocally declining it, he still attempted to try and pressure the employee into giving a hug.
I felt you needed it. What was the first one there, lawyer?
Continually making comments on the attractiveness of female coworkers, be it good or bad comments.
Be or good or bad. Do we have any proof of A, the comments, and B, who I was talking to?
On multiple occasions, especially when I was working with you or transporting you, when
Okay.
you were not on medication, you
Okay.
kept making comments about me, my face, and my attractiveness.
What were these comments? Like I said, hazy memory, I'm now
That I
concerned.
was very hard to look at, that my face was really ugly, around those parameters.
I'm pretty sure I was either drunk or on medication at this time. But this is besides the point. I cannot account fully for my drunk or medicated self, but that was rude. And I'm sorry that I said that to you. And I did not mean to hurt your feelings.
can move on.
Okay.
Okay. Next one, upon receiving a report from the sheriff against 2 employees of the EMS department, both who are currently involved in this investigation,
Calm down, Chad.
that he just had received notice of, he felt best to call them in and suspend them and then investigate the claims that they're not responding to a call. The call was about Miss Aubrey Lynn, who PD is well acquainted with.
Okay.
She likes to get herself injured and then have to call for an EMS. Unfortunately, Detective Brown, who had that information, is not currently with us in this room.
I was the one who responded to the call. I mean, I could tell you about the call. She didn't look like she wanted what she got. Her car was exploded and she was burnt to a crisp.
Okay, we do have an eyewitness statement of the thing here.
Okay.
I wrote the statement because I was the first responder, and I wrote the report looking for an explanation, not a punishment. Punishment if necessary. I was curious why I got no response on the radio. One person said one thing. The point of my report was to find out if that was in fact true.
We can shed some light on that now, and we can shed some light on your situation. So, Rolf, I received your report, and I took a look at the people, and I said, if this really is the case, if people are refusing to use the radio communications while it's on duty, and if your claim is correct, then I need to look into this pronto. I called them into my office. I explained the situation, and they gave me their sides of the story. I knew that the list, Rolf, you provided me a list of people to question. And I took that list and I thought that wouldn't take too long. These people are awake. I've seen them in my time awake. So I told them that I would suspend them until I could get a hold of these people, which took no more than 27 minutes. And they were none too pleased about it. So, yes, for a whopping 27 minutes while I talked to everybody involved that could shed some light on the situation, I did suspend them for this period, and then I attempted to contact them and get into contact with them at a later date, to which they ignored me. But this is besides the point. Everybody, I was simply trying to apologize to them for the inconvenience, because everybody that I was asked to talk to and look into had backed their statement in that they were either not on duty, in Dr. Lilla's case, or were attempting to use radio communication but were encountering errors. So I attempted to apologize to Jackson over here and say that I may have given him a faulty radio and that is on me. No response, and I apologize for the inconvenience and let Dr. Riddle know that everybody backed up her statement to no response. So I apologize for taking you off the road for 27 minutes while I looked into claims that were very serious.
So you're saying that not using the radio while on duty is very serious and should result in suspension while investigating said claims?
For 27 minutes, yes. Especially
But
when
suspension was necessary.
in the report,
in
the report I wrote, I was told it was a protest of the radio, not just you weren't using it yet. That's what he was investigating, is whether or not the radio was being protested while a woman was on the street.
dying, essentially. So all I wanted to do was make sure that no, my initial thought, no, Dr. Riddle would not do this, which turned out to be true. And no, Jackson would not willingly do this, which also turned out to be true. He was at a malfunctioning radio. But on the off chance that 2 of my employees just may have potentially let a 19-year-old woman burn to death because they didn't want to use a radio, yes, I took that very seriously for 27 minutes.
And you felt that we were going to be detrimental on duty within that 27 minutes it took you to investigate? That given other situations that had been brought to your attention about other employees with much more serious matters, might I add,
Okay.
they did not receive any form of immediate suspension whilst investigating their claims?
As I recall, while we investigated Steven back here, he was suspended for going on 2.5 weeks now. And
Still suspended.
Still suspended for just a few more days. And he
And
has...
while you investigated a Mr. Carter Magnate, was he suspended for the duration of his investigation?
Suspended for...
Or
Well, I
was
wasn't
the
able to get into contact with
investigation...
him.
Or was the investigation against Chaz with his selling of EMS equipment and
We suspended him immediately.
pills? Oh, we did.
We
But
did.
the investigation was never fully closed. As I've heard last, it was still a thing, and he's currently on duty at the present. You know, able to log in to the system.
He's on duty
clock
right
in,
now?
Correct?
Okay.
Yeah. All right. And correct me if I'm wrong.
By all means.
There is still a pending case against Mr. Chaz?
If there is, I haven't heard of it, because the general consensus on this was we had zero hard evidence other than Tracy having one of these things. That being said, I have very little to prove that this was Chaz himself, and I have zero hard evidence to do that. So I'm not going to keep a man off the street, or in Chaz's case, the beach, for a month, as we're doing with Steve, until something fixes up. Especially when we have
Even if
zero
it
hard
is
evidence.
the same claims as Stephen?
I wanted Steven out of there the day we put him in there, because they had nothing. Unfortunately, the entire issue got so big it was then out of my hands.
The point I'm trying to prove here is there
By all
have been
means.
much more, let's call them hardcore offenses and cases that are still currently open, in which people were either not suspended or were unsuspended, even though no solution had been obtained on the
Good
the
night,
issue.
CDW.
And
See
yet
ya, buddy.
you felt people not communicating on the radio, an offense in which you yourself and others in our staff have been made aware that they've, been guilty of, and yet you felt it required to suspend Jackson and myself, despite not having that action taken against any of the rest of our staff.
If this was for a day or two or even an hour, I would have serious issue with my decision-making process. But this was an estimated around 45 tops, 27-minute investigation, close of investigation, and unsuspension. If these
but the
27
point
minutes
is
were that
you-
important, I surely do apologize. But as far as I'm concerned, almost
my
no harm
point-
was done for taking you off the street.
My point is you chose
Okay.
to exercise your power as chief to suspend two people for minimal issues to
See ya, CDW.
investigate
Cheers.
this, despite not doing it
was
to any
not
other
minimal.
staff. Yes.
A
Easy.
19
Not
year old
using-
girl burned on the
Ma'am,
street.
Not-
Yeah,
Okay,
she
order.
died because
Protesting
they had no
radio.
communication.
I apologize.
Everybody chill. I apologize for Mr. Cast. He
She
did
was
have,
only 19 years old.
he did watch her die of burns. So I'm not going
Point
to
is
go on.
you exercise that choice in decision making and your use of power as chief to do that to Jackson and myself, two people who were involved with, and you were what I would assume be notified of this exact hearing here the day of that incident. Could it not be questioned that it would be a form of retaliation, or you may have been upset with the two of us from getting that notice and chose to act this way?
I hate to break it to you, honey, but I got that notice this morning in the mail. There was no room for retaliation because I didn't know about this. I didn't get any word in town from it.
All right, fair enough. But point still stands. Existing issues much worse. No suspension was handed out. It was to the two of us.
Okay. and I did exercise my
I feel like we've been
powers.
arguing about this for more than 27 minutes. We've all
Shall
felt
we-
your suspension now. Can we move on?
Okay, easy, Rob.
I
Shall
mean,
we
if
move
you don't
on?
want to be here, you're more than welcome to leave.
He just feels strongly. Like I said, he's encountered a traumatic
We all
experience.
do.
I hear you.
Oh, sorry.
We'll keep
Okay,
on.
let's move on.
Let's keep moving.
Let's stop the side comments.
We're
and just move on.
close. We're close here, I think. Shit.
We got one more thing after this next one. This
Okay.
next one is shooting of a fellow staff member. Craig shot Bobby in the arm after a sassy comment from Bobby was made. Be it an accident or not, the officer explains what this means and how it's handled. There is a video along with this issue. The board would watch that. We also have Nail here who would like to speak about it as well. Craig did have a felony charge from this, but this was prior to the hack, so all databases have been unfortunately cleared.
Okay, may I state my case, and then we will continue with Nail and his statement.
Yes, do know Nail is on time restraints at this time. He has to be leaving here soon due to an important phone call.
I will be as
That's already
fast as
pre-scheduled.
possible. At the strip club, me and Bobby engaged in banter, and we were attempting to sit on a ledge, and my intent was to give Bobby a shove. There's something about this land that did something, and I ended up with a firearm in my hand, and I did fire upon Bobby. And I will not excuse the fact that I did fire upon Bobby. He got shot in the arm, he fell over, I immediately jumped back. I was taken aback for a moment. I didn't know how to handle the whole thing that just happened in front of my eyes, but I did it the best I could with the training I had. I patched up the wound and I helped him up. At that time, I believe Odie received word that I then shot someone in the arm, and he took no pardon to it, despite our history, and he said, "We'll do what you would do." To which Officer Stone took me outside, and I was fined, I believe 10 grand. I don't know, 10 grand. And then I was released. I apologized to Bobby. It's the one thing that I still think about today. It was a major, I don't know how it happened, but it happened, and it was a big problem. And the only thing I can really highlight at this point is how I am sorry that I did accidentally discharge a firearm into his arm. Nothing excuses that. Nail?
Okay, Nail.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I guess it's exactly how Greg said it, but I
Okay.
mean, technically, isn't that assault? I mean, I don't know how you pled that down to just discharge of a firearm, which is technically a misdemeanor. But I mean,
I made zero compromises.
Yeah, I'm going to step in here as the commanding officer on scene. I'm the one that approved Officer Stone to proceed with the full penalty for those charges, and it was Officer Stone alone that decided to reduce the fine and time portion of that. So that would be something Officer Stone would have to attest to. Sadly, he is no longer a part of the department. He's a damn good officer.
Okay.
all right, yeah. I mean, I was just saying I was witness, but I mean, I guess it is exactly how he said it, but I mean, it's still, technically assault, even though he wasn't charged for assault, but.
I do appreciate you coming in despite your time circumstances.
Yep, I gotta go and make that important phone call now.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, well, on the final thing. Favoritism of a new employee. Upon hearing from him in dispatch, Craig spoke instructions to Dr. Lilith about adding him down to their official file that Mr. Johnson, a new hire on the 29th, qualified their new employee housing program. Dr. Lilith has no knowledge of said program that was titled that. When questioned about it, Craig mentioned it was for new employees with long-term experience who are being hired on full-time. They're given $50,000 for the department's money, which there is no budget for because the program doesn't exist, to get housed
It's
in an
you,
apartment,
Jack.
and it is repaid via deduction from the paycheck. Upon Lilith questioning Craig on how this all works, he comes to tell her that Mr. Johnson is a friend of his, and this is something that he needs to have. when Lilith mentioned that there are other new employees that have years of experience and practice in the medical field who are hired on full-time, and if they would be offered the same program. He stated that Mr. Johnson's case was special and different.
Yes, it was difficult to explain in my excitement. I was sketching it up over lunch that day, and I guess it was yesterday, wasn't it? Sketched up over this lunch that I was having. The lunch itself was irrelevant at this time. I wanted a program to where we could give our newest employees, who most times have only been in at a minimum of a week, housing in the city. And I was enamored by this amazing plan. At the time, I was ready to go for it. And I was good to go, and we set it up. And we got him in his house last night. I got notification this morning that the state would not approve it. And the landlord was already calling me asking, hey, aren't you supposed to be paying for this? So I opted then to write him a personal check. Unfortunately, this was an amazing idea, but amazing was on paper, and it was a lot more difficult in practice. You were right, the economy did not really suit for this program, and I could not offer it to all of my employees, so I decided to back out of it today.
So, are you saying you decided to try and start a new program within our system?
Steve, thanks for the Twitch Prime subscription.
And working on the program, offering it to our employees without having it even approved by the city council? Or the state, as you said?
Okay. I found it to be very exciting to be able to offer something like that, and I was very enamored with the idea that we could do that for our employees. So sure, I jumped the gun a little bit, and I said, let's try it out. Let's do it now. Why not? He needs it. And at the time, I mean, I finally crunched numbers after that, after our little conversation in the office, and I realized it wasn't really tangible yet. We need to build up the department a little more, all that good stuff. I hope to maybe one day do it, but that day, unfortunately, was not yesterday.
That's all I have.
Okay. Not your brocolettes.
Well, any closing comments?
I believe...
I would like to make a comment if I have a moment.
Okay, we will take turns. Everybody relax. I believe Rolf did ask first.
I should not have asked. I'm already regretting this.
I will. I understand. I understand. We've all been here a lot longer than we wanted to be. So, try and keep this as quick as possible. I'm sitting here, and a lot of times I wanted to open up my mouth and speak. The things that Craig are being accused of, 90% of them, I've done it in front of you people, and you've laughed at me and promoted me along the way, and now I'm your sheriff. Hell, I even shot Manny with a 50 cal by accident. He got medical treatment. We laughed. We move on as a community. We move on. We're stronger. Want to know why? Because this city right here, you need more than skill. You need more than talent in your field. To survive in this job,
report to the ship as soon as possible.
You need a personality. Damn good one. Craig Evans has the personality that this community, and well, in my opinion, many communities should be very lucky to have.
Sadie, thanks for the follow. Sorry for the late response.
So if you're going to investigate Craig, add me to the list next, and charge me for the things you've all been laughing at. That's all.
Bran? I don't know how you're gonna top that.
I don't quite know how to follow that.
Yeah.
Mine's actually directed at the courts here, not at either party. We had a cyber attack. All this information was lost, so all this is from personal recollection. There is no records of any of this evidence. The PD lost everything we have, so if the EMS has records of this, then they sure have a much better IT guy than we do. And that's all I want to say.
Yeah, we probably do.
Do what now? Anybody else have any comments to make? I guess on your end, all I have is in areas where there is no excuse, all I can offer is an apology and a promise to improve in the future as the head of this department. In the other areas, just come to me, like, pronto, because there's a lot of things that went by that I can't properly recall, and I want them, brought to my attention post-haste.
Can I say something?
Avery, if you have anything productive and relevant, I will allow it.
I like both parties. I like Lilith. She does a really good job.
Oh boy.
And I think Craig does a very good job. I think this whole thing is silly. I think we should work as a community, just like Roth said. I think Lilith does a really good job at what she does. Put up, and I also think we should thank Craig for all he's done for us.
Thank you, Avery.
Well, very well. I believe the medical board will need to talk together about what our decision is.
Okay, would you like time alone, or,
Yeah, we'd prefer.
Okay, we'll go, out. Yeah?
Craig, double high five.
I'll go put a shirt
Craig,
because this vest
double
is
fucking
just
high
ridiculous.
five.
Mr. Sheriff, can Frida say hello to you for a second? Frida wanted to apologize for being...
Hey, Noah. I gotta pee
Professional parking with you.
I gotta pee real fucking bad.
Greg, you knocked him dead. Good job.
Good job, baby. Proud of you.
You remained composed that whole time.
That's what I'm good at, remember?
I'm proud to have you as a father.
Love you too, Stevie.
He is the composed.
Yeah, stop embarrassing.
Yeah, I gotta whiz real bad. Be right back.
Go Wiz.
To pee so bad. Hey, Seahawks. Welcome. Okay, yeah, every time I thought I,
Sir wants to come after me? Sure, get a dictionary, look up the word exonerate, and come after me. He didn't know what the word exonerated meant.
I peed, and every time I thought I was gonna stop peeing, I kept peeing.
You feel better?
I had that this morning, I'm telling you, those large
Report to the ship
Dunkin',
as soon as
those Dunkin'
possible.
ices,
Oh, yeah.
man.
Okay.
They're
Oh,
fucking killer.
I tell you what, when I
Get
said
some,
I
like,
when I
mocha
said I
swirl
needed a
in that.
brief, I
Stir it
Craig,
up.
if you could join us inside again.
of course,
Thank you,
Just
sir.
Craig?
just me, I'm assuming.
Yes. I get so lost in here.
It's okay. You're kind of from out of town.
Exactly.
Did we knock over every single rope and bar?
I believe that might have been me when I arrived.
Details. What's going on?
Well, I'm kind of wondering where Lilith and,
She's
and
out
the
front.
Duke
We exited stage right, so to speak. They exited stage left. So they
were.
are.
No, I called her in again.
Am I following you?
Sure. Let's rob a bank.
That would be awkward.
I agree.
We'd have to have another trial. I don't think you want
Yeah.
that.
I don't think so either. God damn it, where'd they go? Okay, give me a second,
They're
and
out,
I'll see if they
right
got
outside those
lost.
doors, right there, bub.
Yep.
Nope, there she is. Don't go out. She's right. Oh.
And where'd the Duke go?
It's Volk, Lexi.
What? Where did who?
The Duke.
I'm not sure.
Essentially, every time we've gathered one egg in the basket, we've lost another.
The other one rolls out, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be what's going on today. Well, anyways, I guess I'll let you know. Our decision is that, Craig, you will be suspended for 14 days.
Okay.
Although a lot of the claims are kind of silly to the board, some of them were rather serious, and we need to make a statement that nobody's safe, even if you are the chief.
Gotcha.
So for the next 14 days, you'll be leading the EMS, EMT, whatever,
EMS.
until Craig is ready to return.
Okay.
Then that's our decision.
That
Okay.
it?
Yep.
Okay.
Cool. Well, thank you for your time, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you for putting on a show, both of you. That was entertaining for most of it.
It was quite something.
Yes, it was.
Alrighty, well,
Okay.
have a safe trip back to
guys
wherever
have a
you
good
came from.
evening.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yep. It's a funny accent. I'm not really sure. Where are you from?
Venezuela.
Oh, okay. Bring back Boner.
Nope, there he is, there he is.
Oh.
Survey
So what
says.
happened?
Okay, I have been suspended for 14 days. For the things that we could not explain and only apologize for. During that 14 days, Lilith will be taking my position.
Is she gonna be able to make any changes or terminations during them 14 days?
Honestly, we didn't.
Right?
We didn't fucking ask. I'll probably ask.
You should ask.
So she's chief
Yep.
for 14 days, and
Uh,
then what, you come back and you're chief again?
I guess so.
Or is that another
I believe that is the
trial?
route
fair
they're headed at.
Oh god, another trial.
But let's not do any more of those. Hey, Ray.
Hey,
What's up?
not much. Just coming over to tell y'all have a good evening. I was late for a date about 3 hours ago. I've been getting angry text messages.
Sorry, buddy. Thanks for coming by.
Copy
Thanks
that,
for
Ray.
doing the other side of things, and appreciate you coming in.
Yep.
Bye,
Yep.
Ray. I
You guys
still
have a
love
good
you.
one. Have a good night.
You too, Ray.
So come visit me at PD.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Maybe after I take a small vacation. My
Yeah,
head's
get-
just gone. Plus, I
give
need to
our
take care of
best-
Luna.
I was gonna say, give our best to Luna.
We'll do. We'll let her know everyone from PD says hi and from EMS.
All right, buddy. Drive safe.
Guys, have a good one.
Yep.
You too, Ray.
Craig, I'm sorry if I said anything that may have angered you in there. I was getting a little heated
Things
a couple
were
times there.
things were somewhat heated between both sides.
They're coming for me next.
That would suck ass. Hopefully you don't have
Anyone
a
else has noticed that? Anyone else has noticed that the guy who oh wait, no, never mind. That was the lawyer. I thought that was the council member. I was gonna say, I think a council member just tore off and ran a red light. Like, boom, suspended. I was gonna say, look, don't get me wrong, I respect your badassery, but I think we can work with that.
That 14 days.
You remember that question we asked on the interview about the stop sign?
I run through it. I mean, I stop every time.
You know what's funny about that question, though? You know what's funny about that question? If you say, what would you do with the mayor? It's a stop sign. Not, what would you do with the sheriff? It's a stop sign.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about right there.
Odie brought
You
up
know what you're
a
gonna do.
solid point, though. Is this going to be 14 days of terminations on her call and all this stuff, or?
Oh, ask.
I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm
I
texting
think-
the council member. Hold on.
In my
Oh,
opinion,
okay.
I mean, if she's gonna have full control, didn't mean to square up. If she's gonna have full control over those things, I think,
Rip Odie.
even if you're not working
Rip
as
Odie.
chief, I think it should be, like, it should reach your desk. I think you should have
Yeah.
to review it. Because what if all of a sudden your adopted son was targeted for no other reason than that?
Rip Steven, Rip Odie.
That would
rip,
suck. I will
Chaz,
contact the
rip,
said council member.
Tia.
Anyone touches either Steve or Mattia, I will end them 3 times over. I will bring them back to life with my medical experience, and then I will end them again.
I think due to I think
Craig.
I think due to obvious spite
Oh, it's good.
being in the atmosphere, I think due to the nature of the toxicity of this entire trial, I think she should not have final say. But of course, she should be more than open to any valid reviews and everything. But she for these 14 days, I mean, just my opinion, of course.
Important moment, I gotta ask.
This is for you to work out in them, but I think she can't. You could do a lot of damage in 14 days if that's what you want.
She would fire everybody.
Oh, you can completely rip an entire department apart. 14 days.
It takes 14 hours.
It could probably take her 5
Guess who's
minutes.
not going on duty for 14 days?
I'm not EMS anymore.
What? Now hold on. Now, Sheriff, if you want me to stop, you just tell me to stop. But what the hell ongoing investigations do we have right now? I'm pretty goddamn sure you put out a press conference and said
which
all the
ongoing?
investigations
About what?
were closed.
About
She kept
Steven?
talking about ongoing investigations with Steven and Chaz. As far as I know, the PD has no active
Steven's
investigations.
closed, and I don't know jack shit about Chaz except for he might
I
have
thought
been
that
giving
was
stuff to
closed
people.
too.
That was
Steven is closed pending government discovery.
Okay. That's the whole
They
pending
seized all
government
his
discovery.
property. Yeah, that's the only thing that's still open about it. On a city level, it's closed. It's
Okay,
all FIB
okay.
now. They took FIB and IRS.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and they have 2 more days to find something, and then I'm good.
Still
and
not
they've been dealing with this for 2 days.
sure. I mean, I don't know. I'm still not sure how that impacts your ability to be an EMS and after saving lives, but okay.
No idea.
I might talk to
was
city
contacted by
council and
some-
ask if they said I have until Monday to decide which I could be in. I'm like, can I get a 14-day extension on that?
Wait, what?
I was told by city council I have
Oh.
to choose now between EMS and
Oh,
PD.
Oh yeah, you
Just
get
now
that.
you're being told that?
No. I was told earlier today.
I actually received a letter as well.
Wait, does that mean that she
I
can
think
fire
we
you,
all
Craig?
did. That was mixed.
I'm watching that, Stephen. I'm texting the council member that handed it down, and he's writing in all of the policies. She will not be able to do anything outside of anything beyond a reasonable trace of doubt.
Might I recommend fighting for the old grandfathered in if you haven't tried that yet?
What do you mean, grandfathered in?
You were already a competent EMS before it was a restriction? or it wasn't a restriction, or it was, but they let you do it anyways. So that being said, well, that's being called grandfathered in.
Well,
Extreme example, you own an assault rifle, and let's say it's legal. The government says, nope, your state, your country, whatever, assault rifle ban. Automatic, single fire, whatever. Assault rifle ban.
No.
If you still had your assault rifle, I'm pretty sure you are grandfathered in.
I don't think. I mean, you know, right now as you say that, Rolf, that city council's
Good
not
luck
going to
with
go for
that
that. See, he knows,
Yeah.
and I don't even see where he is.
Hey, I gotta get out of here. Can I borrow Odie and Rob?
Borrow a car. Really?
Sure.
Oh.
No, borrow them to speak.
Yeah, come on down. Let's go to down there.
Where did that savage
baby.
voice come from, anyways?
From the heavens itself, it seemed. But that was a savage.
Did you knock
fucking-
over this sign? Did it knock over this sign?
Report to the ship as soon as possible. We're bang, okay?
What voice?
Yeah, I
Ray,
chose
thanks for the
PD,
follow,
so-
buddy. I don't know if Ray's your actual name, but it's how I know you.
Odie.
Thanks for, remaining composed.
Because you know Odie.
Best of your ability tonight. I tried to do the same. It was, something to say the least. Yeah, I mean, 14 days ain't gonna kill me. Unless, I don't know, she does something that would kill me. Now,
God damn it, I'm leaving.
Now, way I see it, I still have 3 more hours to play with and do things. So more Civ? More Civ, Craig? Probably.
I mean, if they give you that extension, then that means you have 14 days to be on PD.
I'd very much like that extension. I will contact City Council, hopefully now.
God damn.
Wow, the council member himself actually put in a formal request to ask that I could remain PD for the next 14 days. Whether it gets canned or not, hey. Ataraxis, thank you for the
That's very
100
good.
Twitch pennies. My dude. What a chill guy.
I can't believe how taken aback she was when he told her that you were my dad.
I'll be straight with her. She didn't know.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Were you still 17 at the time, or were you 18?
I've been 18.
Yeah, but it was pretty funny.
It was not even, like, I just want to put tonight behind us. We finally made it. I'm finally, like, not stressed out. I'm just gonna go back to having a good
Hey,
old time.
Feeling good, babe?
Yeah, feeling alright.
Mwah.
Hey, Volk.
I love you. You did a great
Mwah.
job.
Mwah. Love you both. We'll see how she does 14 days in.
And then, Tanner.
No,
I have to work.
we can't. It's the same for me. I can't just turn around and go, you took me to trial over the stupidest shit, you're fired. I don't think it's gonna be that clean cut.
Insubordination. Fired.
You're not wrong, but I think it's gonna take a little more than that for City Council to play along. So we're just going to assume we can get along and hopefully not sit there and, document my every interaction, because I don't think City Council is gonna do that shit again. Alright, see ya, Jay Spodar? I'm just gonna call you Spodar. Have a good night. But hey. Lil would not be stressed as being a chief. The only way she can be stressed as being a chief is if she stresses herself being a chief. Typically, while I lucked out, I had someone under me doing everything for me. Autonomously. They didn't have to give orders, it was being done. So maybe it's a little more stressful. Maybe she takes the next 14 days to everything I brought up in court take care of. I don't know. All I would like to say is thank you for stopping by. We're gonna probably have a little bit of fun as either cop or civ. Sorry, give me a second, I'm speaking with my head. And, you do have a new emote, Khaleesi. I do have a little bourbon glass that was made by Honda Man. I actually like it a lot. It's got a glow to it. It's not just a bourbon glass, it's a heavenly bourbon glass. Which is how I would think about bourbon as we speak.